Skadoosh. Oh. Mm. There we go. Okay. Better lighting, huh? Yeah. So, anyway. Yeah, right as I start discussing this, I see a fuzz butt. Give me just a second here. Let me move this. What are you doing, furball? Get out of there. Okay. Anyway. Tonight, we are not doing a typical go into Daz Studio, pose my base geometry, and turn it into a figure thing. Nope. Instead, what we are doing is I am going to be sculpting from a ball. Yes, a ball. You heard me right. And then we're going to turn this ball into some kind of critter. Some kind of unusual, strange critter. And it's going to be using technique what's called speed sculpting. Now, what's speed sculpting, you might be asking? Well, it's exactly what it sounds like. It's just starting with a basic sculpt, you're done. Now, for most people, this is a way to practice. There really has to be a certain level of skill before it can be a finished product within a short period of time using these techniques. You can get, for example, a lot of people can do good faces. And there's Carlton. Come on over. No, you don't want to go. Anyway, you can do faces. You can do round critters like a squig pretty easily. It's when you're doing something completely different that these speed sculpting techniques really get a little tough. I'm not certain what we're going to sculpt tonight. I honestly don't know what I'm going to do. So I guess what I'm just going to do then is I'm going to go ahead and hey, it worked that time. Yeah. Empty ZBrush. And we're going to switch to Sphere 3D. I'm going to click in the middle and drag. Then click on Edit. And we're going to change it to this. And what we now have is make it Polymesh 3D. You see this button that I'm up right here. It's right up here. Make Polymesh 3D. Because right now under Geometry, that's all I've got. All my usual options aren't there. So I go to Make Polymesh 3D. Bam. Because now it's hard-coded geometry. It's not a procedural sphere. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and just divide it down to about there, delete lower, and then go to Dynamesh. What this is going to do, right now, if you look at the top, you'll see that it's got a lot more polygons right here in the center than it does, you know, on the side here. So, let's go ahead and hit Dynamesh at 512. So it should be enough for the basic shaping. Bam. And now, it's pretty even. Amount of polygons. Some areas do have triangular sections. So, if we then, let's say, smooth the bottom slightly, and then Control, drag, bam. Alright, now, we're going to turn off that and that, frame out, and we're going to hit X to make sure that we have it symmetrical, as you can see. Now what we're going to do is we're going to figure out what we're going to make out of this ball. Is there anyone that has shown up that is willing to come up with an idea on what to make out of the ball? Hello? Anyone? You poke my head in over here. Nope, no one's here yet. Back into ZBrush. So I guess what I'm going to make is going to be... let's make some kind of just random demonic thing. Some kind of eldritch horror. Okay. Now the way we're going to start this is we're going to go ahead, we're going to move up, and we're going to go down to snake hook. Let's make it snake sphere. Make it bigger. We're going to use this to kind of just drag out from here. Nope. That's not what I'm wanting to do. I go back to snake hook. Make it bigger. We're going to kind of drag out. Okay, that's too small. Make this bigger. Drag out and down. Drag out and down. Drag out, down, and then we're going to turn off the X and just come from back here and from in front. So what we have is effectively it's an 8-legged critter so far. Now we're going to go to clay buildup and change this back to, for the round alpha. Turn X back on, and we're going to come auto masking backface mask and stroke. Increase lazy. No. 0.025. Turn off lazy mouse. Okay. What we're going to do is we're going to build up from the back side of these tentacles. Turn off X and build up from the back side of the front and back tentacles. Then we're going to divide once, delete lower, control drag. Oh, that's right, I turned off Dynamesh. Okay. We're going to smooth this area. And up here. Then, once again with X still off, we're going to go to move. Actually, we're going to hit this. Then we're going to move. We're going to make this bigger. Going to clip here and drag down. Actually, let's turn X back on for this. It's going to come down like that. Okay. Now we're going to go back to snake hook. And this time we're going to be kind of off center. And we're going to start from up here. No, we need it down a little bit. Okay. Now, the next thing we're going to do, we're going to add kind of little winglets on this thing. We're going to use inflate, actually, and we're going to use it to fuse that little tentacular aspect with this right there. I'm going to do it here as well, although it's going to be a little bit like that. Okay, and then we're going to click drag. We're going to smooth out where it meets. Here. And then I'm going to go back to clay buildup. Shrink it down a little. We're going to kind of build this out. And here as well. Some of you may have already figured out what it is that I'm basically making here. Those that haven't, well, go check your Mr. Manual. I did that click drag to make it easier to smooth out the section there. Alright, frame out. Now, I'm going to grab the move tool, grab the corner, pull it out and down. And then do the same thing here. And then we're going to smooth there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. Now we're going to go from the top for this next bit. We're going to use layer. And we're going to go sub, shrink it, and increase to almost 100%. And we're going to use this to make, see sub I said, we're going to use it to make what will be the mouth. Let's smooth that out. I'm going to smooth all this out. And then draw. There. Okay. Now, we're going to start randomly drawing on what might be anatomy. We're going to start off with, we're going to use the standard brush, see sub, to draw in like vague eye sockets. No, to be further along here. And it down here. It will have a dorsal and a ventral side, but yeah, that's where it's going to be eye sockets. Now the next thing we're going to do, we're going to go to inflate. I'm going to shrink it down a little bit. We're going to kind of just go around the edge of where the mouth is. And we're going to smooth it all out. Let's drop this down to 256. So we have less polygons to work with, so we can smooth a bit faster around the mouth. Okay. Now, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to use subtools, append sphere 3D, and then we're going to shrink it. Wrong one. That's what we need to shrink. And we're going to move it down and over. And forward. Then we're going to duplicate it and go up, forward a little bit more, down a little bit more. And turn off that. Go in deeper and down a little bit. And then we're going to merge down. Because these are going to be our eyes and we want them to be on both sides. We then go to geometry, modify topology, mirror and weld. And that turns it into all four eyes. We're then going to give it just a couple subdivisions just to make sure we get some nice detail, nice smooth eyes. Now, it's time to turn these into unusual eyes. We're going to start off with inflate, but it's sub. I'm going to shrink it a bit. And we're going to kind of just draw in some impressions. Oh. Around the eyes. I'll be honest, I can't remember what this thing is called. I just remember that it lives in the elemental plane of Earth. Okay. Then we're going to go ahead and add in a couple of further wrinkles just to maintain the texture we've created. Is asymmetrical, but the reason we're doing asymmetrical here is too symmetrical, it looks unnatural. There. Frame out. Frame out. If and then we're gonna kind of bring that in a little bit. And then just kind of alright. Now frame out. Now we're going to go ahead and use the move tool to manipulate that mouth. We're going to bring it down and up. And then we're going to go insert bolt stuff. One of them is the tooth. Okay. Oh, nope. Select the tooth. Thank you. And we're going to rotate it. Okay. I've slaved split unmasked points to the U. We're going to duplicate. Well, delete. I forgot to duplicate this. And I'm going to duplicate. We're going to move it over to here. And one thing about it is its teeth are radial, not okay. And then we're going to duplicate again. Over. We're going to duplicate. Okay, then we're going to merge all of these together. And with geometry, we are going to mirror and weld. Bam. And here, going back to geometry, we're going to divide a couple times. So it's nice and smooth. Delete lower. Okay. And currently this is our unnatural thing. Obviously it's not a simple print, but hey. We go back to the base. There's a curve there we need to fix. and nothing else around. But now we're going to use slash to do the remainder of what we're going to do around the eye sockets. Leaving lazy mouse on, we're going to go about 30, 31 in this case. And we're going to start drawing on wrinkles. Actually, let me change that radius to there. This is something to make sure it'll actually smooth out. Okay. Now we're going to make it a bit bigger and a lot deeper. And we're going to do with a very light mouse touch. Let's start drawing in wrinkles. And then we're going to use the move tool, a lot smaller, to pull out the bottom and a little bit of the top. Now will come the top eye. And this one we're going to start off by bringing the front of the eye in. Oh, shit. I just realized everything we just did here did not carry over. I'm going to turn on X and drop this back down to 34. We're going to, oh, no, the intensity has to be on 51 because that's move. Go back to slash. Okay, now we drop that up to 48 and up there. We're going to grab the move tool once again, and we're going to move this down in. We're also going to go ahead and move out here and here. A little bit, not digging too deep. And now back to slash. And we're going to come around just a gentle bit there. we frame out, zoom out a little bit, and take a look at our little creation so far. Okay, now we got to do the top eye, which is not to be confused with Popeye. And before we do that, let's inflate down here. Oh, I said inflate, not deflate. Let's make this more. Okay, there we go. And now slash. I'm going to come around from here and go under here. We're going to smooth that bottom out back there. Okay. So now we've got shapes around the eye. Next thing is we're going to add in some detailing around the mouth. To do that, we're going to make it a smaller brush, but a deeper. Yeah. And we're just going to kind of draw on. And then we're going to smooth out the back end of these wrinkles. I'm going to hit X just to turn off intensity here. I'm going to make it a little bit off center here, a little bit asymmetrical. Oh. And then we're also going to kind of do down here. And smooth out down on the bottom. And then up here. I just remember that begins with a Z and it's not a Zorn. I'm going to smooth that. Okay, it is now 7:58. Hello, Mark. Now see, this sort of critter would not work well as an actual rigged base geometry. It's too abstract. Okay, now you can already see I've got from my ball, I've gotten some form, I've added in the teeth admittedly, but otherwise it's mostly wrong. Excuse me, I'm not really quite so awake right now. Can you identify the critter? And then we're going to go ahead and add in some thin detailing. And we're going to do this by making it Z add, but make it moderately. Not strong enough. Still not strong enough. No, not strong enough. No. Yeah, that should do it. Now we're going to do the underside of this. And then on top. Okay. In some ways, it kind of looks like some kind of alien coelacanth. But really and truly, that's all we need for this. And this is, again, a speed sculpt. The whole point of it is do it done quick. Bam, you're done. Merge down. And then the next step would be go to geometry. Let's dynamesh it at 1024. And bam. Okay. So the next thing we need to do is we need to thin it down. By that I mean the polygon count. Decimation master. Let's make it 35k polys. Still analyzing mesh. That's a no-go. So let's drop this down to 768. Smooth one tiny little area, and then draw it again. We smooth that small area because sometimes if you don't have some kind of adjustment, it doesn't like re-dynameshing. Okay, forfish.ztl. And we're going to pop it back on over here. Now the reason we popped it back on over here is so that, I can, discuss exactly what we did, why we did, etc., etc. And one of the things is we wanted to try and sculpt it the way you would sculpt clay or putty. Okay? And, well, that's how we handle it. I'm also trying to find there it is. I'm not sure if it's in the current edition in the Monster Manual. I believe it's in the second Monster Manual 2 of the first edition. First E Monster Manual 2. I wonder, is it in here? Let's look near the back. If it's not in the Monster Manual 2, then it's in the Theme Folio. Like I said, I can't remember what it's called. There are a lot of people that will use the speed sculpting techniques for everything. That's fine. But at the same time, there's a lot of people who use the speed sculpting techniques strictly for learning. Strictly for teaching themselves how to sculpt. What does what is where, when, and why. That sort of thing. And as such, it's valid for that. What's it? I don't think it's in the Monster Manual 1 from current edition. So, oh well, I'll worry about it later. It is a critter. It's in D&D. I believe it's it's an earth elemental fish that swims through Earth itself. No, it's not an aboleth. Yes, anatomy is not fun, but it's very important. I mean, something like this doesn't really have anatomy so much, mostly because it's an unnatural thing from beyond space and time, and but anatomy you've got to get right. And really and truly, if you're doing something that's got a base anatomy, whether it's a human, a horse, a dragon, it's a good idea to start on a symmetrical base mesh. That way, you can make certain that everything, like both arms, are the same length. Both legs bend the same way. The joints are in the same positions. And then make it unsymmetrical by posing. Break the symmetry is in the biology. The asymmetry is in the posing. Or in the clothing if it's a humanoid or something else that would wear clothing. So anyway, I'm seeing a lot of not so much drop frames as much as it's going. So I'm going to go ahead and close down ZBrush. I'll figure out what that is later. This is just going to be a short show tonight, mostly because the sculpting was just, grab a ball, stretch it, shape it, twist it, and then start sculpting on it, and you make a thing, a critter. In case you're wondering, the cats are kind of out. We have Carlton in the window. He started to come this way, but I've got my painting tray in the way. He can't get here. And in case you're wondering what I'm painting, I've been painting my version of the Sword Maiden. As you can see, there's a bit of a problem here on the knee from the, you see, is intended to be super pale. Her dress will be mostly blue-white, but I gotta tweak that little spot right there. Anyway, that's speed sculpting. And like I said, for something that's more biological, yeah, something that's more biological, it's better to make a basic base mesh. I mean, even for this sucker, I made some base geometry to work on. You remember this guy, don't you? Yeah, the Odiug. So anyway, that's a snipple. I'm going to be going ahead and calling it a night because, like I said, I'm beat. I've been working all day and running around all afternoon. So that was the short and basic information on speed sculpting. Like I said, a lot of people in the various industries will use speed sculpting, like speed sculpt a head. In like 1 hour, they'll have a photoreal head with pores and everything. That's a bit more than I can do. Well, they also have pre-made brushes that just stamp on the pores, alphas to add on the basic wrinkle shapes, things like that. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead. Ditto. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to raise my hand. Raise your hand if you're sure, or if you're going about good night. So it's going to be from 5 to 1, and when I get to 1, it's going to be, say something goofy or pithy or whatever, and then going to go and that'll be it. So that's going to be 5, 4, 3, 2, and a 1. By the way, my SSD crashed over the weekend. I'm still in the middle of reinstalling everything. Another reason I'm tired.